You are thinking yourself into poverty every single day, not because you are stupid, because you were programmed with the wrong mental operating system. The top 1% do not work harder than you. They do not have more hours. They do not possess secret information you lack access to. They think differently, fundamentally, structurally, in ways that make wealth inevitable instead of accidental. Right now, your thoughts are creating your results. And those thoughts are keeping you exactly where you are. Comfortable enough to stay, frustrated enough to complain, but never equipped to actually escape. That changes in the next 15 minutes. I am going to install the mental frameworks that the 1% use to build empires while everyone else builds excuses. Before we dive deeper, hit like and subscribe so you never miss our videos, and share this with someone who needs to see it. Here is what nobody tells you about wealth. It starts in your head long before it shows up in your bank account. The wealthy do not stumble into money. They think their way there, thought by thought, decision by decision, framework by framework. Most people believe they think correctly and just need better circumstances. Wrong. Dead wrong. Your thinking is the circumstance. Change the thinking, and you change everything that follows. But here is what separates the 1% from everyone else. They do not think positively. That is not the difference. Positive thinking without strategic frameworks is just delusion with a smile. They think systematically. They process information differently. They evaluate opportunities through completely different filters. They make decisions using mental models that most people have never even heard of. The gap between you and them is not resources. It is cognitive architecture. Ready to rebuild yours? Framework 1. Asymmetric opportunity. Thinking. The 99%. Evaluate opportunities by asking what could go wrong. The 1% evaluate opportunities by asking what is the upside if this works versus what is the downside if it fails. This is asymmetric thinking, and it changes everything. Most people avoid risks where they might lose something, even when the potential gain massively outweighs the potential loss. They treat a chance to lose $1,000 and gain $50,000 the same as a coin flip. It is not. It is asymmetric. Here is how this plays out in real life. Average thinker sees a business opportunity, thinks about all the ways it could fail, focuses on the money they might lose, decides the risk is not worth it, stays exactly where they are. 1% thinker sees the same opportunity, calculates the worst-case scenario, realizes they can survive it, calculates the best-case scenario, realizes it could change their life, takes the asymmetric bet. Same opportunity, different thinking frameworks. Completely different outcomes. But here is the brutal truth. You have probably passed on dozens of asymmetric opportunities in your life. Opportunities where the downside was survivable and the upside was transformational. You passed because your mental operating system told you to avoid risk instead of evaluate risk. The 1% do not avoid risk. They hunt for asymmetric risk. They actively seek situations where they can risk a little to gain a lot. What asymmetric opportunity are you currently avoiding? Framework 2. Long time horizon. Thinking. The 99% think in days and weeks. The 1% think in years and decades. This single difference explains almost everything about wealth distribution. When you think short-term, you make decisions that feel good now, but compound into disaster. You spend instead of invest. You consume instead of build. You optimize for comfort instead of growth. When you think long-term, you make decisions that feel difficult now, but compound into abundance. You invest instead of spend. You build instead of consume. You optimize for growth even when it is uncomfortable. Ready for the part that changes everything? The 1% literally experience time differently. They make today's decisions based on who they want to be in 10 years. They sacrifice present pleasure for future freedom. They delay gratification not through willpower, but through vision. Most people cannot see past next month, so they make decisions that optimize for next month, and those decisions destroy their next decade. Here is a simple test. Think about a financial decision you made recently. Were you optimizing for this month or for 10 years from now? If the answer is this month, you are thinking like the 99%, and you will get 99% results. Stretch your time horizon. Watch your wealth follow. If you are serious about installing 1% thinking frameworks, you need more than motivation. You need a complete system. That is exactly why I created the VYBO Wealth Blueprint. It is the comprehensive framework for building wealth the way the top 1% actually do it. Inside, you will find the exact mental models, decision frameworks, and strategic thinking tools that separate winners from everyone else. This is not theory. This is the operating system upgrade your mind has been missing. No fluff, no motivation without action, just the blueprint that actually works. Link is in the description. Your thinking determines your wealth. Upgrade it now. Framework 3, abundance versus scarcity. Processing this one runs it deep, deeper than you realize. The 99% operate from scarcity. There is not enough. Someone else winning means I lose. Opportunities are limited. Resources are finite. Life is a zero-sum game. The 1% operate from abundance. There is more than enough. Someone else winning creates more winning. Opportunities are unlimited. Resources can be created. Life is a positive-sum game. But here is where most people get this wrong. Abundance thinking is not delusion. It is not pretending resources are infinite when they are not. It is recognizing that wealth can be created, not just redistributed. That opportunities multiply when you pursue them. That helping others often helps yourself. Scarcity thinking makes you compete. Abundance thinking makes you create. Scarcity thinking makes you hoard. Abundance thinking makes you invest. Scarcity thinking makes you fear. Abundance thinking makes you build. Here is the question that reveals your operating system. When you see someone else succeed, what is your first reaction? If it is resentment, comparison, or wondering why not me, you are running scarcity software. If it is curiosity, inspiration, or wondering, how can I learn from this? You are running abundance software. The 1% genuinely celebrate other people's success, not because they are morally superior, because they understand that success is not a limited resource. There is enough for everyone who earns it. Install abundance. Delete scarcity. Watch everything change. Let me bring this together. 3 frameworks down. Asymmetric opportunity thinking, long-time horizon thinking, abundance versus scarcity processing. These 3 alone will transform how you see the world, but we are only halfway there. The next frameworks are about how the 1% execute, because thinking without action is just philosophy, and philosophy does not pay bills. Framework 4, outcome independence. This framework sounds counterintuitive. Stay with me. The 99% are attached to specific outcomes. They need this deal to close. They need this investment to work. They need this opportunity to pan out. And that attachment destroys them. The 1% are process-focused with outcome independence. They execute their system regardless of individual results. They detach from any single outcome because they know the process produces results over time. And here is why this matters so much. Attachment creates desperation. Desperation creates bad decisions. Bad decisions create bad outcomes, which creates more attachment and more desperation. It is a death spiral. The 1% break this cycle by genuinely not caring whether any individual attempt succeeds. They care about the process. They care about execution. They care about getting enough at bats. But they release attachment to any single swing. This is not apathy. This is strategic detachment. When you do not need any specific deal to work, you negotiate better. When you do not need any specific investment to succeed, you think clearer. When you do not need any specific opportunity to pan out, you act bolder. Outcome independence is freedom, and freedom produces wealth. Framework 5, first principles thinking. The 99% think by analogy. The 1% think from first principles. Analogy thinking sounds like this. Everyone else does it this way, so I should too. This is how it has always been done. The standard approach is to follow these steps. First principles. Thinking sounds like this. What is actually true here? What are the fundamental components? If I was building this from scratch with no assumptions, what would I do? But here is where this becomes powerful. Analogy thinking keeps you trapped in conventional results. You copy what others do and get what others get. You follow the proven path and end up where everyone else ends up. First principles thinking unlocks unconventional results. You question every assumption. You rebuild from fundamentals. You discover approaches that analog thinkers never consider. Every major breakthrough in business came from first principles thinking. Someone asked, why does it have to be this way? And discovered it did not. The 1% question everything, not to be contrarian, to find opportunities hidden by assumptions that everyone else accepts without examination. What assumption in your life have you never questioned? Framework 6. Leverage thinking. The 99% think in linear terms. More effort equals more results. More hours equals more income. More work equals more wealth. The 1% think in leverage terms. How do I multiply my effort? How do I decouple time from income? How do I build systems that work while I sleep? This is the fundamental difference between working hard and working smart. Here is how leverage actually works. There are 4 types of leverage. Labor, meaning other people working for you. Capital, meaning money working for you. Media, meaning content working for you. Code, meaning technology working for you. The 99% use zero leverage. They trade time for money directly. They are the only input into their income equation. The 1% stack leverage. They build teams, they deploy capital, they create content that reaches millions. They build systems that scale without their direct involvement. Same 24 hours, completely different outputs. But here is the part most people miss. Leverage is not about being lazy. It is about being strategic. The 1% often work incredibly hard, but they work hard on building leverage, not on tasks that could be leveraged. Where are you trading time directly for money when you could be building leverage instead? Framework 7. Anti-fragile thinking. The 99% try to avoid problems. The 1% try to benefit from problems. This is anti-fragile thinking. Not just surviving chaos, but actually getting stronger from it. Fragile things break under stress. Robust things survive stress. Anti-fragile things improve under stress. The 1% build anti-fragile lives. Setbacks make them smarter. Failures make them stronger. Chaos creates opportunities they exploit while others panic. Here is what this looks like practically. Average thinker loses a job and spirals into despair. 1% thinker loses a job and uses the forced transition to build something better. Same event, different framework, opposite outcomes. Average thinker sees market crash and panics. 1% thinker sees market crash and buys assets at discount. Same event, different framework, opposite outcomes. Anti-fragility is not optimism. It is architecture. It is building your life so that negative events have limited downside and potential upside. The 1% do not pray for calm seas. They build better ships. What would make you anti-fragile to the chaos you fear most? Here is what ties all 7 frameworks together. The 1% do not just think differently. They are different. Their identity is built around these frameworks. They do not have to remember to think this way. It is who they are. You cannot fake 1% thinking. You have to become a 1% thinker. That transformation does not happen by reading about frameworks once. It happens by practicing them daily, by catching yourself in 99%, thinking and consciously shifting, by questioning your default patterns until new patterns become default. This is identity level change, the deepest kind, the most powerful kind. But here is the truth about identity change. It is available to anyone willing to do the work. You are not stuck with the mental operating system you were programmed with. You can uninstall old frameworks. You can install new ones. You can become someone who thinks in ways that make wealth inevitable. The 1% were not born thinking this way. They learned it, practiced it, became it. Your turn. 7 frameworks separate the 1% from everyone else. Asymmetric opportunity thinking. Hunt for big upside with survivable downside. Long time horizon thinking. Make decisions for your future self. Abundance processing. Wealth is created, not redistributed. Outcome independence. Execute the system. Release attachment. First principles thinking. Question every assumption. Leverage thinking. Multiply your efforts through systems. Anti-fragile thinking. Get stronger from chaos. These are not motivational concepts. These are cognitive architectures. Install them and your results change automatically. The gap between you and the 1% is not talent. It is thinking. You have the frameworks now. What you do with them determines everything. Your move.